welcome to Young Money. My name is Nozi Pombanjwa. This is the show about us, the ones who want to break the bank, the ones who want to go beyond the normal. Coming up on the show today, we're speaking to Ofiwa Say. She is a founder of She Leads Africa, really exciting incubator program based in Nigeria that looks at female entrepreneurs in particular. We're also speaking to Tuli Khadebe. She's a marketing manager at Yellowwood, and she's talking to us about a white paper that they've produced that really just looks at the youth population in South Africa and how marketers can really get to the heart and souls of this particular demographic. It's going to be an exciting show. Do stay with us. Don't forget that the hashtag is YoungMoney410. Following me at The Real Nozi or at CNBC Africa. Let's get to Ofiwa. Ofiwa, thank you so much for making the time to join us. Let's get a better understanding of what She Leads Africa is all about.
Thanks so much for having me today. Really excited to be speaking with you. She Leads Africa is a social enterprise that is all about supporting and motivating smart and ambitious young African women. We believe that young women, if they're building their careers or they're trying to start a business, need access to tools, experts, and resources to help them build a successful life, and we're all about supporting young women as they do that. We do that through our online platform, SheLeadsAfrica.org, as well as our offline events, our Entrepreneur Showcase, which brings exceptional African women and their startups to pitch their businesses and raise cash and get access to media, as well as our She Hive, which is our pop-up co-working space that we're taking across the continent.
Ofiwa, just looking at the demographic that you're focusing on, it's African women. So perhaps just give us a sense about the kind of challenges that this particular group is likely to face as they try to launch their own businesses.
So our target audience are young women who have gone to school, they've studied hard, and they've left university believing that they have opportunities and that they can take advantage of a lot of the momentum and economic excitement that Africa is facing. But when they're out there in the workforce or trying to start their business, they're really surprised to see that some things just haven't changed. First and foremost, access to capital. For those young women looking to start businesses, banks have such high interest rates that if you don't have collateral, if you don't have property, like many young women don't have, they really won't take a risk on you. You're too risky for them. Also, getting money from investors is very challenging, and you have to be in the right networks and really have people believe in your businesses. And unfortunately, we're not seeing that amongst our target community. Additionally, access to networks that can help you build partnerships or connections or to increase your distribution. Typically, those happen in really closed circles. Those happen through old boys clubs, as they like to say. And many young women aren't welcome there, or they don't feel like they're welcome there. And so it can be really challenging to move your business when you don't have people supporting you. And I say, finally, access to education is critical. Building a business, you have to be skilled in finance, in marketing, in product development. And for many young women, having the financial skills, really the background to understand the accounting and make sure that your profit and loss makes sense. Our young entrepreneurs that we're working with, they don't have those skills. It can be very challenging to build a model that is focused on growth and success. And so even though we see these challenges, we do know that the young women are hungry, they're very excited, and they want to learn more and build their businesses, and we're happy to help them do that.
It certainly sounds like it's a difficult feat for young women in Africa to really get their businesses off the ground. But if you could give them advice as to the basic starting blocks in terms of getting started, what do you tell your clients about how do they begin this particular journey?
Well, building a business in Africa is hard anywhere, and especially if you're a young person. So the motivation or encouragement I would give to anyone is just start. Many of the young women that we work with say, oh, if only I had this capital, or if only I had this partnership, or if only I had this person supporting me. And we say, you know what, you can start your business without it. And being able to demonstrate that your model works on a small scale can be very powerful when you're looking for that broader support or looking for that financing. So my encouragement is always just do what you can from where you are. Start small, if you want to build an online business, you don't need to have all that inventory. Capture people's interest, do it an old school way, and then use technology to help you. You don't really need to invest a lot of capital and time to start to prove and figure out if your business might work and be successful.
And perhaps as a final question, Afua, we know that the survival rate of most startups is about 80% of them fail within the first 2 years. How do we get women to build sustainable businesses that will exist beyond the 2-year period?
Absolutely. I mean, not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not every business will be successful. And so I think the first part is having people understand that you have to take a risk. You have to put your all into it, and you have to try. Sometimes it won't work, and that's okay, because you will have learned very useful lessons to move forward and hopefully work on your next venture or your next company.
That's Afua Osei. She is the founder of She Leads Africa, reminding young African women that they can really grow big, sustainable businesses that expand across markets and across the African continent. Tuli, thank you so much for making the time to join us. Before we get into the content about around the white paper, just give us a sense, what are white papers and what exactly do they achieve?
So every quarter we launch a piece of information to the industry, specifically the marketing industry, to give clients, to give people that are in marketing an idea of a specific topic that we delve deep into to really get insights and really uncover untapped areas, untapped avenues to really equip marketers to really
So it's almost like an intelligence tool that you're actually giving to marketers in essence.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into the content of this white paper. I've introduced it as broadly focusing on youth. What are you looking at that's made up the content?
So our content is really around getting an understanding on what's on the minds of the youth of South Africa. We really aim to uncover and get rid of a few assumptions that exist around the youth and really focus on the reality of what's actually going on with the youth, what they want to see, what they don't like, and so forth. So this paper really delves deep, and it's very, we have a really honest response from the youth. We've received a very honest response from them, not sugar-coated based on what marketers or perhaps adults might want to hear and see. So we got new insights from them that can be quite useful.
So from a methodology perspective, give us a sense of how you get these voices captured and how you get to the data which you then translate into the intelligence.
So we work quite closely with our partner agency, HDI. They are youth marketeers, so they really focus on the insights of the youth. So we worked very closely with the Generation Next study as well that they host. So a lot of our insights and data came from there. So we really used that as a platform for our analysis. So we also did some interviews with some young people. Who better to hear from than the youth themselves? So we got a lot of raw data, quantitative, qualitative stuff from them. Which really
so they've brought their voices to the fore. Their voices have been captured. Let's talk about just the key highlights that have come out, some of the interesting findings that you think make this particular white paper worth picking up.
Well, I think what was quite interesting and what stood out for us is that we really are generations apart. If you look at the millennials versus perhaps the baby boomers, which would be the parents of the millennials, based on our backgrounds, we come with a lot of bias and a lot of assumptions on what society, on how society operates and what we expect to see from the youth. So I think there's a lot of tension between those two groups, which our paper addresses and which our paper uncovers, where it's really just a matter of coming from a different generation.
Right.
So I think.
So in essence, you're saying the youth actually feels a bit misunderstood, and that there's a bit of a disconnect, and between their older generation, their parents, there's a talking past each other.
Yes.
So how does this translate then, for example, into the workplace? Would this mean that when they come into the workplace, there are a couple of issues and tensions about the experience that they expect versus the experience that they actually get?
Yeah. So I think a key point that came out from our paper was the fact that the youth are coming from a place where they have an abundance of information, and the people in the workplace, perhaps the older generations, the baby boomers, are coming from an era where there was scarcity, not that much information available. So we have these baby boomers that come with all of this information. They feel like they know everything, and they do, possibly because they have been exposed to so much more. Then there's this gap in between that's experience, which the baby boomers do have in the workplace, which then creates quite a lot of tension between the two of them working in the same environment. So you tend to see that the youth are not keen to work in this environment where there's structures and kind of this follow the leader kind of approach, where they're so used to working with the logic,
right.
More so than this is what is expected.
So there's
of you.
almost a freedom barometer of sorts where the youth are on this side, where they really want to be able to express the way they want to work, and it might be quite different from what is traditionally expected. Let's talk about technology for a second, because I know that this is one of the focus areas that you do touch on, and they say technology is their first tongue, their first language, or their mother tongue. How does that work out?
Yeah, so I mean, the youth have grown up with technology. It is their bread and butter, and I think it's something that we need to move forward past as marketers to really understand the fact that this isn't anything new to them, and in order for them to be understood, we need to speak to them in their language, which is through technology. So there really is a balance between how the youth are using technology. For example, technology doesn't necessarily replace face-to-face interaction. That's one of the findings that we had in our research, where the youth are using technology as platforms to meet face-to-face.
Right.
So as marketers and as brands, we need to be cognizant of that fact and perhaps be wary of bombarding them on that platform where it is all about them and their reputation and connecting with their friends and so forth, and really understanding and respecting those parameters.
Yeah.
I mean, we interviewed a gentleman who said, I mean, I love being on social media, but my reputation's on the line the entire time, which made us question, as marketers, are we contributing to their reputation, or are we perhaps devaluing them based on how we are interacting with them on these platforms?
One of the things that struck me just paging through the report, which I thought was really interesting, was just this idea that young people actually feel that they have a responsibility for the country or the future that they're going to be walking into. And so they're almost inculcating a sense of revolutionary status of sorts. And if we take a look at the Fees Must Fall issue that we've just had in South Africa, they are not as irresponsible as we might have thought them out to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, that ties into exactly what our report looks at, busting some of those assumptions, looking past the assumption to the reality. So, I mean, one of the examples that you're raising is quite accurate. For example, there's a lot of fears and anxieties that we might not be aware of that the youth experiences. One of those would be the fear of unemployment, the fear of being unsuccessful. I mean, one of the ladies we spoke to us, and she said, I'm scared that I'm not going to give my parents the return on investment that they have invested in me.
Tuli, thank you so much for making the time to join us. You heard it, it's www.ywood.co.za if you want to get a copy of the white paper. Thank you so much to Tuli Khadebe, marketing manager at Yellowwood, really talking us through the contents of that white paper based on the youth population in South Africa. That's all we have time for on Young Money today. Don't forget, I've promised you that we'll always bring you the best voices on the show. All you need to do is just tweet me, let me know what you want to see. That's at CNBC Africa, and of course at The Real Nosy. Don't forget our hashtag, that's Young Money 410. As always, guys, let's keep making those Madivas.